Marcus Vale had always believed that planning ahead was the same thing as being kind. As the owner of several technology firms and a man known for careful decisions, he built his life around foresight. His home reflected that belief. A wide estate with long halls, quiet rooms, and systems that worked even when people failed. The hidden cameras were part of that thinking. They were small, nearly invisible, placed behind vents and inside decorative fixtures. Marcus told himself they were not about suspicion. They were about his son. 12-year-old Noah Vale had not walked since the accident 3 years earlier, when a speeding car ignored a red light and changed everything. "I should have picked him up myself," Marcus often said aloud to empty rooms. The house answered only with silence. Doctors came and went. Nurses rotated in shifts. Some were gentle, some efficient, some distracted. Marcus shook their hands, asked careful questions, and smiled politely. Inside, he worried. "He's just a boy," Marcus would whisper while standing outside Noah's bedroom at night. "Please, just be careful with him." Noah rarely complained, but his eyes had grown quiet, as if he were watching life from behind glass. Marcus noticed everything, except joy. The cameras fed into a private room, screens glowing softly, but Marcus avoided them. Watching felt like spying on pain he could not fix. "I built all this," he muttered once, gesturing at the mansion, "and still I can't protect you." The house stayed still, holding its breath, waiting for something to change. When the agency sent a new maid, Marcus barely listened to the introduction. "Her name is Sophia Reyes," the coordinator said over the phone. "She has experience in family homes." Marcus replied with his usual short answers. "Fine. Background check complete." "Yes." "Then have her start Monday." Sophia arrived quietly, carrying no more than a small bag and a folded sweater. She spoke softly, but her eyes were alert. "Good morning, sir," she said. Marcus nodded. "You'll be working mostly during the day. My son's room is off limits unless requested." Sophia paused, then asked, "Does Noah like music?" The question caught Marcus off guard. "Music," he repeated. "I don't know. He used to." Sophia smiled lightly. "Sometimes it helps with long days." Marcus shrugged. "Dear work." For days, nothing seemed different. Sophia cleaned, organized, and stayed out of the way. But Noah began asking small questions at dinner. "Dad, do you know that song from the old cartoon?" Marcus looked up. "Which one?" Noah hummed a tune, off-key but bright. Marcus felt something stir. Later, passing the hallway, he heard Sophia humming while dusting. Noah's door was open. "That song," Noah said, "it sounds like an adventure." Sophia laughed softly. "Then let's imagine one." Marcus stopped walking. He didn't go closer. He didn't turn on the cameras. But for the first time in months, he didn't feel afraid. The changes came slowly, like morning light. Noah started sitting up longer. He asked for books instead of a tablet. "Sophia says pirates didn't give up," he told Marcus one evening. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "She says that." Noah nodded. "She talks to me like I'm part of the story." Marcus tried to smile. That night, sleep wouldn't come. He walked to the monitoring room without deciding to. The screens flickered on. There was Sophia, sitting on the floor beside Noah's chair. She wasn't cleaning. She wasn't instructing. She was breathing, slow and steady. "Match me," she said gently. Noah tried. His shoulders relaxed. Sophia tapped 2 wooden spoons together, creating a rhythm. "This is the engine," she said. "You're the driver." Noah laughed, loud, sudden, real. Marcus's hand froze on the console. He hadn't heard that sound in so long it felt unreal. On the screen, Sophia said, "Again?" Noah nodded eagerly. "Again." Marcus sat down, eyes wet, watching without blinking. He expected guilt, but felt something else instead, relief. "She's not following any manual," he whispered. "She's listening." The room no longer felt like a control center. It felt like a window into hope. Over the following weeks, Marcus watched more. He saw Sophia turn exercises into games. Reach for the treasure. she'd say, placing a scarf just out of Noah's grasp. You're cruel, Noah joked. Only a little, Sophia replied, grinning. When frustration hit, she didn't rush to fix it. One afternoon, Noah snapped, I hate this chair. I hate needing help. Sophia didn't argue. She sat beside him and said, That makes sense. It's heavy to carry anger. Noah looked at her, surprised. You're not going to say it's okay? She shook her head. Not today. Today we feel it. She stood and walked slowly, describing each step. This is how it feels in my legs, she said. You can feel it too in your head. Noah closed his eyes. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. Sophia continued. Movement isn't gone. It's just different. Later, at dinner, Noah said, Dad, I worked hard today. Marcus replied, voice thick. I know. I'm proud of you. He meant it more than ever. The mansion no longer echoed. It listened. Marcus finally spoke to Sophia one quiet afternoon. We need to talk, he said, voice steady but nervous. She nodded. They sat at the kitchen table. I installed cameras, Marcus admitted, to protect my son. He waited for anger. Sophia only sighed. I guessed, she said. You watch because you care. Marcus swallowed. I'm sorry. Sophia met his eyes. Then trust what you see. She stood. I'm here for Noah. Not because I'm paid. Because he matters. From that day, Marcus watched openly, learning instead of controlling. Noah laughed more. The house breathed again. And Marcus learned that safety did not live in wires or screens, but in people who chose compassion every day. After that conversation, something subtle shifted between Marcus and Sophia. He no longer watched her like a test he needed to pass or fail. Instead, he observed as a student. One morning, Marcus entered the kitchen while Sophia was making tea. You don't follow the schedules the therapists left, he said carefully. Sophia smiled without turning. I follow Noah, she replied. Marcus frowned. That sounds risky. She faced him then. So does giving up, she said gently. Later that day, Marcus watched as Noah struggled with a stretch and groaned. This is stupid. Sophia didn't correct him. It is, she agreed. Noah blinked. Really? Yes. Hard things often are. Want to beat it anyway. Noah nodded. Marcus leaned back in his chair, realizing that for the first time since the accident, his son was choosing effort instead of enduring it. The therapists noticed the change too. One of them pulled Marcus aside and said, He's more engaged. What changed? Marcus hesitated, then said honestly, Someone started treating him like a whole person. At dinner that night, Noah talked nonstop about a story Sophia was reading. Dad, what do you think makes someone brave? Noah asked. Marcus paused. Doing something even when you're scared, he said. Noah smiled. That's what Sophia said. Sophia laughed softly from the doorway. Great minds, she joked. Marcus watched them and felt a quiet ache. Not pain, but something like gratitude mixed with regret for all the moments he had missed while hiding behind control. One rainy afternoon, Noah refused therapy entirely. I'm tired, he said, arms crossed. Marcus prepared to intervene, but Sophia held up a hand. Okay, she said. Let's rest. Marcus was startled. Later, he asked, Why didn't you push him? Sophia answered, Because rest is also work. That evening, Noah surprised everyone by asking to practice. I don't want to quit, he said. Marcus realized that strength grew best when it wasn't forced. The cameras showed him that trust created space, and space allowed growth. Marcus began spending more time with Noah directly. One night, he asked, Do you remember the accident? Noah nodded slowly. Sometimes. Marcus swallowed. I wish I could change it. Noah looked at him. I know. But you're here now. The words settled deeply. Marcus understood then that protection wasn't about preventing pain. It was about staying present through it. Sophia suggested small challenges. Let's cook together, she said one morning. Noah laughed. I'll burn the house down. Only a little, she teased. Marcus watched as they chopped vegetables, Noah directing from his chair. Left. No, the other left, Noah said, giggling. The kitchen filled with warmth. Marcus joined them, unsure at first, then smiling freely. The mansion felt like a home again. There were setbacks. Days when Noah cried quietly at night. Days when Marcus felt fear claw back in. But Sophia never pretended those days didn't exist. Healing isn't a straight road, she said once. It's a walk with turns. Marcus nodded, finally understanding that control had blinded him to patience. One afternoon, Marcus turned off several cameras. Not all of them, just enough. He told Sophia, I don't need to see everything anymore. She smiled. That's a big step. Marcus exhaled. For both of us. Noah noticed too. Dad, you don't watch the screens as much. Marcus replied, I'd rather watch you. Noah began speaking about the future. Maybe I'll write stories, he said. About kids who can't walk but still go on adventures. Sophia clapped. I'd read that. Marcus felt his chest tighten with pride. Hope had returned, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. One evening, Sophia prepared to leave for the day when Noah asked, Will you come back tomorrow? Sophia knelt beside him. Always, she said. Marcus realized then that promises built on care were stronger than contracts. Marcus invited Sophia to sit with him one night. I used to think money could fix anything, he admitted. Sophia listened. Money helps, she said. But people heal people. Marcus nodded. I'm finally learning that. As months passed, the house changed. Laughter replaced silence. Music played openly. Noah practiced daily, sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding, but always trying. Marcus no longer feared those moments. He welcomed them. One afternoon, Noah said, Dad, I don't hate the chair as much anymore. Marcus blinked back tears. That's okay, he said. You don't have to love it. Noah smiled. I just don't want it to decide everything. Sophia helped Noah see movement in new ways, through imagination, rhythm, conversation. Marcus saw that healing didn't mean returning to what was lost, but building something new. Marcus officially offered Sophia a permanent position. She accepted simply. I'm already home, she said. Marcus understood exactly what she meant. The cameras remained, but they no longer defined the house. They were tools, not shields. Marcus checked them rarely now. Trust had replaced fear. Noah celebrated his 13th birthday with friends for the first time since the accident. I'm glad we invited people, he told Marcus. Me too, Marcus replied, watching his son laugh. Late one night, Marcus stood alone in the monitoring room and turned off the screens. Permanently. We're okay, he whispered. Sophia continued her quiet work, listening, encouraging, believing. She never asked for praise. She simply showed up. Marcus often reflected on how close he'd come to building a fortress instead of a family. He was grateful he'd learned in time. In the end, the Vale Mansion stood not as a monument to wealth or control, but as proof that compassion could transform lives. Marcus learned that safety grew from trust. Noah learned that hope could move even when legs could not, and Sophia reminded them both that healing begins when someone chooses to truly see another person. Time moved forward quietly, without announcements. Seasons changed outside the tall windows, and Marcus noticed how Noah marked them now, not by doctor visits, but by moments. This was the week I lifted my arms longer, Noah said once. Another time, this was when I finished a whole book. Marcus began keeping a small notebook, not for schedules or expenses, but for memories. He wrote down the day Noah beat Sophia at a word game. The afternoon they argued about the best adventure story ending, and the morning Noah said, Dad, I feel useful today. Those words stayed with Marcus longer than any business success ever had. Sophia never pushed herself into the spotlight, but her presence shaped everything. When Marcus asked her how she learned to connect so deeply, she shrugged. I grew up with a brother who was sick, she said. I learned that listening is louder than fixing. Marcus nodded slowly. I wish I'd known that sooner. Sophia smiled kindly. You know it now. That's what matters. Noah, overhearing, added, Dad listens better now. Marcus laughed. I'm practicing, he admitted. One evening, a former caregiver visited briefly to drop off some paperwork. She looked around, surprised. This place feels different, she said. Marcus answered simply, we changed. Noah rolled his chair forward and said, we learned how to live here. The words were simple, but they carried weight. After she left, Marcus realized that healing had reshaped not just Noah, but the entire space around them. Marcus eventually returned to some of his work travel, something he had avoided for years. Before his first trip, he hesitated. What if something happens? He asked Noah. Noah replied calmly, I'll be okay. You taught me that being careful doesn't mean being scared. Marcus hugged him tightly, careful not to squeeze too hard. It was the first trip Marcus took without fear sitting beside him the entire way. When Marcus returned, Noah greeted him with excitement. I tried a new exercise, he said proudly. Sophia stood nearby, hands clasped, letting Noah take the moment. Marcus realized that independence, even in small forms, was the greatest gift Noah had gained. There were still difficult days. Pain did not vanish. Frustration returned sometimes. But now, those moments were shared instead of hidden. I'm having a hard day, Noah would say. Marcus would answer, thank you for telling me. And Sophia would add, we'll go slowly today. No one rushed the feeling away anymore. As Noah grew older, his questions deepened. Do you think people see me as broken? He asked one night. Marcus took a breath. Some might, he said honestly, but the people who matter see your strength. Noah thought about that, then said, I think I see it too. Marcus smiled, knowing that self-understanding was a kind of freedom. The mansion no longer felt oversized. Its rooms held meaning now, stories told, music shared, quiet talks after long days. Marcus sometimes walked the halls at night and felt peace instead of worry. He understood that walls could not protect love, but love could fill any space. Sophia remained a steady part of their lives, not as a savior, but as a guide who knew when to step forward and when to step back. Marcus often thought that true care was knowing the difference. He made sure Sophia knew she was valued, not just needed. Years later, Marcus would look back and realize that the turning point was not the cameras, the money, or the plans. It was the moment he chose trust over control. Noah grew with hope instead of fear. Marcus learned to lead with compassion, and Sophia's quiet promise shaped a family that had once been broken by uncertainty. Their story was not about overcoming everything, but about living fully anyway. And that, Marcus knew, was the greatest success of all. As Noah entered his teenage years, his world expanded beyond the gates of the mansion. He began attending a small inclusive school program twice a week. The first morning was tense. Marcus hovered near the door, adjusting Noah's jacket unnecessarily. Dad, Noah said, smiling patiently, I've got this. Sophia stood nearby and added, and if it's hard, that's okay too. Marcus watched the car pull away and felt the old fear rise, but it didn't take over. When Noah returned that afternoon, his face was bright. I made a friend, he announced. His name is Eli. He likes maps. Marcus laughed. Maps. Yeah, Noah said. He says every place has more than one way in. Marcus thought about that long after Noah went to bed. Noah started writing more seriously then, filling notebooks with stories about explorers, inventors, and kids who solved problems using patience instead of strength. One evening, he read a paragraph aloud. The hero didn't move fast, Noah read, but he noticed things others missed. Marcus felt tears gather. That's a good hero, he said. Sophia nodded. The best ones usually are. Noah grinned. I think so too. The stories weren't about escape anymore. They were about understanding. Marcus eventually donated much of his time and resources to improving caregiver training programs, quietly insisting that empathy be treated as a skill, not a personality trait. When asked why, he simply said, because it changes outcomes. He never told their full story, but the lessons were woven into everything he supported. Control systems were useful, he knew, but compassion systems were essential. On a warm evening, Years after Sophia first asked about music, the three of them sat outside listening to Noah's favorite songs. "Remember when I hated this place?" Noah asked lightly. Marcus nodded. "I remember." Noah looked around the glowing house. "It doesn't feel like a cage anymore." Sophia smiled. "That's because you helped build it." Marcus closed his eyes, breathing in the sound of laughter and music, knowing this was the safety he had searched for all along. In the end, their story did not end with a cure or a miracle, but with something steadier and deeper. Noah grew into himself with confidence and voice. Marcus became a father guided by presence instead of fear. Sophia remained a quiet thread of kindness running through their lives. Together, they learned that healing is not about restoring the past, but about creating a future shaped by trust, patience, and compassion, and that was more than enough. As Noah grew more confident in school, he began taking small leadership roles in group projects. One afternoon, he came home, cheeks flushed with excitement. "Dad, Eli let me lead the map project," he said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You? Leading?" Noah nodded, eyes shining. "I told them how to divide the work, and they listened." Marcus smiled, a warmth spreading through him he hadn't felt in years. Sophia, standing behind Noah with a quiet nod of approval, added, "Leadership comes from understanding, not control." Marcus realized she was right. Noah had learned something far more valuable than exercises or routines. He had learned how to inspire others. Marcus noticed that even small tasks around the mansion now carried meaning. Noah insisted on helping with chores that involved planning, like organizing the pantry or setting the garden paths. "It's like a strategy game," Noah explained one morning. Sophia laughed. "Then you're winning?" Noah grinned. "Maybe," he said. Marcus watched them from the hallway, feeling a mix of pride and relief. The mansion, once heavy with silence and worry, was alive with purpose, curiosity, and laughter. Every corner seemed to carry evidence of the patience and trust that had rebuilt their family from the inside out. There were still moments of struggle. Noah occasionally fell during therapy or grew frustrated with exercises that challenged him physically. But Marcus noticed that the tone of these moments had shifted. Instead of fear or despair, they were now met with determination. "It's hard," Noah said one day, trying to lift a small weight. Sophia knelt beside him. "Yes, it is. And that's why you're doing it." Noah looked at her, smiled, and tried again. Marcus watched silently, understanding that resilience had replaced anxiety as the family's defining force. The mansion had become a classroom, not of rigid rules, but of empathy and persistence. Marcus also began opening up more about his own fears. One evening, he confessed to Sophia, "I still feel guilty about the accident." She placed a hand on his arm. "Guilt won't help Noah," she said, "but presence will." Marcus thought about it deeply. Being present, truly present, was a form of protection he had overlooked. From that moment, he consciously shared more of himself with Noah, even when it meant admitting vulnerability. It was uncomfortable at first, but the result was undeniable. Noah responded with openness and empathy of his own. Noah's storytelling developed alongside his confidence. He began writing short stories about explorers who overcame obstacles in creative ways. Marcus started reading them at night. "You're clever," he told Noah after reading a new story. "I see you're learning how to notice things others miss." Noah beamed. "I learned from watching you and Sophia." Marcus realized that their lessons were intertwined. Sophia's quiet guidance, Noah's determination, and his own willingness to let go of fear had created a powerful cycle of growth. Sophia, meanwhile, remained a steady presence, teaching without commanding, guiding without demanding. She often said, "Healing isn't about forcing change. It's about being patient enough to see it unfold." Marcus had learned this truth firsthand. He began applying it outside the home, in his work and personal life, understanding that the same principle of patience and trust could foster change in others as effectively as it had in Noah. Marcus's business ventures continued, but he approached them differently now. Meetings were more collaborative. Decisions involved listening, not just analyzing data. He credited Sophia's influence subtly, though she never sought recognition. "It's simple," she said once. "Understand people before you try to direct them." Marcus found that this approach not only strengthened his companies but also reinforced the lessons Noah had absorbed: trust first, control second. Family traditions emerged, small rituals that built consistency and joy. Every Saturday, Noah and Sophia led a story hour in the living room. Marcus joined when he could, and sometimes he simply listened. One night, Noah paused mid-story and asked, "Dad, what would you do if you were stuck in a wheelchair?" Marcus thought carefully. "I'd focus on what I can do," he said. Noah nodded, absorbing the answer as if it were a new tool. Marcus realized the cycle had turned. He was teaching and learning at the same time. One spring evening, they hosted a small gathering of neighbors and friends. Noah wheeled around, introducing everyone to his maps and stories. Marcus observed quietly, amazed at the boy's growth. Sophia stood by, smiling but unobtrusive. Marcus leaned toward her and whispered, This is what hope looks like." She nodded. "It was always here. You just had to let it grow." Marcus felt a profound sense of gratitude for the presence of someone who had taught them to trust the process instead of demanding perfection. Marcus began volunteering more actively in local programs supporting children with mobility challenges. He shared his experiences, advocating for compassionate care. He often thought of Sophia's simple question years ago: "Does he like music?" That small curiosity had unlocked a world of emotional growth. Marcus understood now that compassion, when consistent and genuine, had ripple effects far beyond the initial act. He felt proud, not for himself, but for the home they had collectively nurtured. Noah's writing progressed into illustrated stories shared with classmates and, eventually, online. He described heroes who faced limits, who adapted, and who found joy despite setbacks. Sophia remained his silent partner, helping him organize ideas and refine words without overshadowing his voice. Marcus watched Noah's confidence blossom and realized that their family's journey was now not about recovery alone, but about contribution and connection to others. The mansion's halls, once silent, now resonated with laughter, music, and lively conversation. Marcus often walked past Noah's room, hearing snippets of stories, games, or challenges Sophia had devised. He felt no need to intervene. Trust had replaced control entirely. He had learned that witnessing growth was more powerful than directing it. Each sound in the house, each small victory, was a testament to the patient work they had all done together. On a quiet evening, Marcus reflected on the past decade. He remembered the fear that had once dominated him, the constant monitoring, the hidden cameras, the obsession with control. He thought about how easily he could have remained trapped in that mindset. Instead, he had chosen to trust, to release some of his own anxieties, and to allow compassion to lead. And in doing so, he had watched Noah transform into a resilient, joyful, and creative young man. Sophia continued quietly beside them, the constant thread of understanding. She never sought recognition, but Marcus never forgot her role. One evening, he said simply, "We wouldn't be here without you." Sophia shook her head. "I didn't do it alone. You did the hard part too, letting go." Marcus realized she was right. Healing required courage from all three of them. Each had learned to trust, to listen, and to act with patience. And each had grown stronger as a result. By the time Noah reached mid-adolescence, their home had become a symbol not of wealth or control, but of resilience, trust, and connection. Marcus, Noah, and Sophia had built a life rooted in empathy and hope, where challenges were met with creativity and love instead of fear. The Vale family had discovered that true healing is not about reversing the past, but about shaping the present with patience, understanding, and unwavering compassion, and in that, they found not only safety, but lasting joy.